you really have a knack for work. And also, you have your North Node in the 13th degree. This is considered a change, degree of change, of constant change. Not constant change, but just change period. You see a lot of change. Um, and I say that like death and rebirth are one and the same. Like death and life, like they're kind of one two sides of the same coin. Like you have death through decaying and death through like which is the wet way and death through the dry or yeah through the dry way, which is like just burning things. I don't know if you can that's just like the more of a tarot reference, honestly, than anything else. But this is also like being able to. So the North Node is with Venus in hypercritical Virgo, and Venus with Virgo is usually like being able to kind of like help the bigger team at hand when you can kind of like be the kind of like the efficiency control monitor. Like you're able to kind of like help the bigger team at hand by kind of like weeding out the gophers in the garden, or kind of like in any sense. This could even be like, this would also be like a sense of like Jeffree Star going into his laboratory, his makeup laboratory, and like looking over things and just like slicing the fat off the top. Like that's very you. Like you can do that. That's like your North Node. And so it's like when you're doing that, when you're calculating things, when you're kind of like deciphering whether or not things are gonna work, like that's like your North Node. Like trying to just like really just cut things off the top, just like kind of like being really decisive. What is the true nature of this? Getting to down to the bottom of what actually makes something a thing, rather than the excuse me, rather than the second nature qualities of it. More so like the first hand qualities. I would say I see the bigger picture. I know exactly. Exactly. And that's like a superpower you're gonna have. So like that's like a really big superpower. Not like just a superpower. I don't want to say superpower because we're not like, this isn't Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, so I don't want to like make you feel like I'm because this is reality, and so this is like just kind of like a model for something that you would be really very prone to be good at. So especially, but like I'm not here to tell you what things are. You know what I mean? Like if you have a certain set of like identity with things, then like good for you. If it helps you get further in life, more power to you. I'm not here to like be the I'm not here to like say what ideas or imaginations can springboard you to better modes of being. So it's just like it's kind of all relative. It's just like whatever gets you to that state where you can kind of get that bigger picture, basically. Um, Also, you have the North Node in the fifth house, which is like calls for needing to take risks, playing the field. The hate is real with this because others will come out of nowhere to hate. Like this is a very this is something where it's like you're kind of like focusing on yourself, like you're bettering yourself. You're kind of like doing everything almost like for yourself. Like you're kind of at your own spotlight. Excuse me. There's a hair. I don't know how that hair got in there. Gross. Probably for my beard. If it was like a straight hair, it like looked like my beard hair. Anyways, gross. But other than that, this is like basically receiving hate and backlash from learning the ways of other, from like learning the ways of men. It's like yeah, and like a need to self actualize and focus on yourself, and like if you like the ways of men is just like kind of like how people do things. It's like, well, what would they do? It's kind of like needing to kind of understand like what someone else would do so that you can free yourself and do it yourself. um so Finding a spouse is very key. Being loyal on a very personal level. This is like being loyal to someone on a very personal level. This isn't like being loyal to someone on like a spiritual level. This is like a very personal level. More so than spiritual, this is like finding your mate. And not finding your mate, that sounds so, gross. But like finding your partner. And then like kind of like learning through that relationship, and also like being able to self-actualize through that. Practice makes perfect, so don't skip steps. And you need to make your artistry perfect. Like if there's any artistry you have, you need to make it perfect. Because if you want to be an artist looking for your equal, oh, oh, yeah, I can't, yeah, and that's a good thing. Like you want to find your partner, in any sense, like your soulmate. Um, Usually, a Leo will have a soulmate, a North Node in the fifth house will have a soulmate that they'll be attached to for like their whole life. Because the Leo is about relationships, right? You know, you want to have like your relationships with your passion. That's what you're nurturing. You're not nurturing, you're coming from a South Node, which was nurturing your passions through the, um, almost through groups, through other people. Um, Helping other people, helping through humanity at large, and kind of like almost not having an identity in your past life. And then in this life, it's almost like you're being pushed to focus on yourself and really just like make yourself shine and like kind of like perfect yourself. Um, so you do have moon opposite ascendant at 29 degrees. This can just be reversals and crisis, peaking and completion, transformations, talents mastered, fated mission. So that's like can deal with the moon at the 29th degree. Just like reversals, transformation, especially because it's in Scorpio. In transformation, in the essence, where it's like a total, from basically a step a stepsister to Cinderella story, kind of like a whole transformation. Like it's like a whole kind of like you're working on a whole like a full revolution of transformation. You know, like a 180 in that. Excuse me. Personality wise, physically, anything like with other people, but that's just like what the the 29th degree of Scorpio is. Emotions make it hard to move on towards goals. Seeking ourselves in and through relationships with other people and being very responsive and aware when trying to meet others' needs. So, like, this is like a very intense desire to like have a relationship, and like it really is a part of your North Node to have that relationship. Um, but always like, you know, just being able to, I mean, like, just being able to kind of balance that, and knowing when you need to focus on your own needs and not theirs, you know? It's like, okay, like, I've given enough to them, and, like, being able to kind of, like, know that, like, know that, and you're mentally being like, okay, I need to give myself some space now. Or not space, but love, you know, like attention, energy, that heat from the sun, that the sun like that gives life basically. So Uranus is transiting on your ascendant, and this would be akin to walking the path of the Fool. Now, the walking the path of the Fool is not bad. It is very risk friendly. So if you do something and you fuck up, it's okay. It's not like the end of the world. It's like, okay, well, yeah, you fucked up, but who cares? You were like, because Uranus right now is transiting on your ascendant in Taurus. And so this would just mean that like you're trying to go up, but really you're going to go down or something. It's like you're trying to do something, and it's like really you're not understanding like what actual path you're going on. Because the Fool is always confused at what the lesson at hand really is, you know. And that's not a bad thing. That's a really good thing. So it's like you're basically want to put this energy into starting something new, pushing it towards whatever you want to enact in the future, especially if you want a career in art or anything art-like. I also have some things written here about I have some things written. Okay, so Pluto conjunct Mercury. You have a very probing mind, avoid social chit-chat. You do this, not that you don't like to talk, that's not true. It's just that you prefer meaningful and deep conversations. So it's like, yeah, we could do the chit chat, but like, what would be better than actually talking about the thing that you'd rather talk about? You know what I mean? It's like, well, yeah, there's that we could talk about, but it's like more important that you have meaningful and deep conversations. So that's like just recognizing that sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, I might be not know what to say in the right moment, but I certainly, know what to say um, a few conversations down the line, basically. So it's like, okay, you got something on lock, but you need to remember like just one liners kind of to get things going a little bit. And that's not bad. I have that problem too, and I'm like, um, in any degree, it doesn't have to be, you know. But Pluto in the eighth house, which is a desire to be united with others, experiencing powerful and yet unrecognized drives and passions. You want to probe deep into metaphysical subjects, and also like I'm kind of a part of this generation, but this generation's like a part of like transforming. They're like, yeah. Hell yeah! You probe deeply into transforming religious views to incorporate philosophies and other things. Yes, dude, I'm fucking this. I know you. I know. I'm the same. I'm like, because it's like so hard, especially when like someone when you're gonna talk to someone and you know for a fact that they don't like anything that you um listen to on a daily basis. And so it's like, oh, fuck, how do I talk to this person? Because they ain't going to know anything about me. Or they ain't going to want to or something. Or once they do, it's like you know that you're kind of like, the hands are tied. So you have Vesta in Aries conjunct your Saturn. We'll get into that. But Vesta in Aries is being self-reliant, self-motivated in your work, sometimes to the exclusion of other people. I mean, I feel like that's okay, honestly. Like, I feel like it's honestly okay to exclude other people as long as you let them understand why, or like, I don't know, that's okay. I don't want to like defend everything though, because like I feel like that's okay. You know what I mean? Like I don't feel like that's needing to defend, but take that with you, Will. Grain of salt. I don't. I hope it's not a bad thing. I mean, because like sometimes, never mind. I don't know why I kind of. You have a commitment to independence and the ability to achieve personal success. You are committed in a path of spiritual values, dedicated follower of a spiritual way of life, and you want to delve into the unknown, share your findings with others. You may be committed to working in a spiritual organization. So this would also align with your Saturn, because like your Saturn is in Aries, and this would be seriously the end all be all, but it's not. It really isn't. It's actually not that bad. You know why? Because you got some mitigated you got some mitigated factors here going on. So you may have